Hi, everybody. It's Erin Scott here. So I'm recording this for you on Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. And there's been the news of the second mass shooting that we've had in a week. And I want to talk to you about Mars, which is moving into conjunction with the North Node. In fact, it's going to happen in a couple and a half days. So I'm going to show you the point of the conjunction, pretty much exact. And I want to give you some notes about it because to understand what these energies means clarity about natural energetics that are playing out and the ability to make mindful conscientious decisions, right? So yes, indeed, Mars moving into conjunction, approaching the north node of the moon, will bring extremity of the Mars archetypal energies, period. So there's going to be extremity playing out. Now, this extremity of reaction, anger, passion, behavior, there's a reaction aspect here, and it's very much mental. So the mind, this is in Gemini ruled by Mercury, right? So the mind can be very reactive and it can act on it. So this can be argument and conflict, for example, happening. So a lot of you might experience a greater level of tension with communications. Now, some of you are going to experience tension or extremity of communications with siblings. Some of you will experience it with neighbors. Some of you will just experience it in general, in your social networks, in your communications in general. So there might be emails or conversations or situations, or you're out in your local community and you're experiencing tension and argument, conflict, in some cases, violence, right? So again, as I'm recording this, we just had 10 people shot in Boulder, Colorado. And this is indicative of this kind of energetic. Yes, this can emerge from this energetic. Now, I'm going to show you when it's going to be exactly conjunct. Me recording this now for you hopefully will give you some forewarning because there's a couple of things I would like you to be mindful of optimally for you. One is, in fact, your own mental reactivity to things. The other is the emotionality or anger or rage or frustration or conflict or the attempts at argument that are coming up from other people in your reality. Because your free will choice is to either engage with it or not. And so you can be the one to diffuse whatever might be arising in your environment. But there's something else here as well, which is vehicles, car accidents. There is a potential here for a greater level of accidents as we come into this exact conjunction. Right now, these points are only 2 degrees apart. Yes, 11 degrees and 13 as of today's date, March 23rd. Okay, so there's already a greater level of potentiality of having some sort of accident, crash, fire. This is a fire sign here. Is there some danger, that is a potential for commuting, vehicles, etc.? So be mindful, right? If you've been having issues with your car, you want to be very mindful about carefulness on the road because keep in mind, you're driving amongst other people here, right? So you just want to be mindful. This isn't about instigating fear, it's simply about understanding the reality of the energetics at play. That's what this is about. Now, what I want to point out is that the North Node Mars is squaring Mercury, right? And Mercury is ruling Gemini. It's ruling Mars and it's ruling that North Node, right? So the square to the mind, this is a Piscean mind. This is a Neptunian mind. This is a mind that can move into delusion, can follow deception, can be in a state of confusion, that can be drunk, right? There can be, let's say, alcohol or drug abuse that's activated that can instigate some sort of an accident. Do you understand? I want you to really hear me here because this is a potent signature that we're moving into. Now, the other thing that is activated, everybody, in fact, before I talk about that, let's move up a couple of days. So, right now, I'm recording this. It's a little after 9 p.m. Eastern Time, March 23rd, 2021. And I have a noon chart here. Okay. Now, if we move a day forward to the 24th, you're going to see that Mars is a little bit closer. And if we move to the 25th, a little bit closer indeed. And then we have noon Eastern Time on the 26th of the month, March 26th, okay? So this is the point of the shift. And by the way, Mars is the planet that's breaking the calsarpa process that we've been in. In other words, all of the planets outside of the moon, which pops in and out of the calsarpa process, all the planets, other than the moon, have been tied and netted between the nodal axis since the very end of December 2020. Okay? Now, Mars is the planet that's breaking the calsarpa. This planet will pop into a new chapter, and essentially, at least how I'm interpreting this, how I can see this archetypally and naturally, is that there will be new actions to emerge, a new, let's say, way of behaving mentally. At least that's the call of evolutionary action. But that's another story. I'll talk more about that in next week's weekly. Okay, so in next week's weekly astrology, I'll be talking about that. But what I want to point out is this is the date, March 26th, that is going to have this exact conjunction here. All right, so you want to be mindful here. Number 13 also, it represents, it symbolizes many things. 13 is correlated with the feminine, it's correlated with nature, it's correlated with natural process, it's correlated with karmic process. And indeed, the fact that the nodes will be at 13 when Mars conjuncts and breaks the calsarpa, it breaks the karmic process. There might be a bit of a head, something that comes to a head with Mars, number one, the planet that's on the north node. So there's an extremity with any planet that's conjuncting a node, number one. But then there is Mars, which is fire, passion, energy, drive, motivation, reactivity, behavior, conflict, war, bloodshed. I mean, this can look like a fired up mind that's going to take action. It can look like somebody taking a gun out and doing whatever they're going to do, just like what we've seen. So to be quite frank, I'm not too surprised about the news of the shooting. Even a week plus ago, the mental, anybody with any kind of instability mentally, anybody with any kind of default operation mentally, where they are not the master of their own thinking, their own thoughts, that they're simply reactive by their default, then this conjunction is going to create a more extreme mind and a more extreme thought process and a more extreme construct set and a more extreme way of identifying information that can be fiery or angry, right? There can be anger and rage here. So my point is, on the 26th of March, when these are exactly conjunct in Gemini, be mindful, number one, of your own thinking, your own thoughts, your own way of interpreting what you're observing or seeing or hearing, or, what you are speaking, the language that you're using, how you are communicating. Be mindful here, because each of us as individuals, might feel more anger. There might be naturally more flare-ups that occur. In other cases, there's going to be more of a psychic break, a mental break, something that is going to activate or catalyze some sort of an extreme, violent, angry action. Maybe it involves weapons, with Mars, the god of war, right? So there's something here. Could it be violence against the feminine or women? We certainly had it last week with the shootings in Atlanta. But the number 13, what does that mean right now? We don't really know. I mean, when we look at the numbers, we know that there's a correlation to either the feminine, to woman, to some sort of violence or, misogynistic action that could take place, for example. But if we're looking just at the numerology too, we have 1, 3, and then the total of 4. 1, 3, and 4. 1, is the individual. 3 is the mind. And 4 is stability. So there's almost like a karmic test here, naturally activated, about the foundations of our mental stability. How sane are you as an individual? How sane is the collective, the human collective? How how delicate is the modern human mind here? We're going to see evidence of minds breaking, psyches breaking. I mean, the fact is, how much are you believing your thoughts? You know, turning to violence to project out all that self-loathing, hatred, paranoia, etc. Okay? So, mindfulness, everybody, as it relates to your driving, your vehicles, your car, even being a pedestrian, just be mindful. This isn't about living in fear, it's about present moment orientation and mindfulness. And again, this conjunction, which is potent, it's going to flare up in the mind. People's thoughts are going to get really triggered and really activated. And on top of that, it's squaring Mercury in Neptunian Pisces. So again, there can be some delusions, some mythology, some drugs, some alcohol, some illusory, either physical substance that the person has imbibed. Okay. In other words, there can be um, more of a decision and more of an impetus to delude the self or to ease the pain of the mind, to ease it through alcohol or drugs, or to just ease it through um, delusion, believing a bunch of stories, believing stuff about religious topics, some ideations about God. So some people here are going to take violent action as a result of what their ideas are about God. Maybe it's about being the warrior for God. Do you understand? So this is juicy, it's big, and I wanted to make you aware of it. So this is, a brief video, but I wanted to bring that up. The other thing that we have at the point of conjunction, exact conjunction, the moon is in Virgo. Okay, now Mercury is ruling the moon, right? Mercury rules Virgo. So not only do we have Mercury squaring the nodes, but we have Mercury opposing a Mercury moon. And this can be hypercritical. This moon in Virgo, there's various qualities, beautiful qualities about a Virgo moon person. But what can get activated here is some level of um, kind of the mental focus that arises, maybe, who knows, maybe even out of the blue, or it comes to a head. It's a thought that's been in the mind. I'm here to be a warrior. I'm here to bring forward some communication on behalf of God, and I'm here to do the work. I'm here to be of service to God. Okay, so some people here are going to take, mark my words, we are going to see it in the news cycles. There are people that are going to take some sort of warrior kind of action because of some deluded ideation based on being a servant to God, period. It will occur. Okay, for you, your job is to be owning of these energetics. So as they arise within you, as these thoughts arise, understand that this is natural signatures happening, natural energetics, and you don't have to respond to it. You don't have to engage or believe what the natural activation is. In other words, there will be natural activations that will incite certain passions to arise or certain extreme thoughts where anger and revenge or violent, aggression can arise. Does that mean that you are to act on it? No, that's your free will choice. You get to choose whether that's the correct, right action to take. So here, some delusion can really be like the desire here is to be the servant to God. The desire here is to be some sort of a servant, to do the work on behalf of what the person is interpreting as the warrior. I'm going to be the warrior to be the servant to God. So I do see that. It is going to be activated for some people. For you, and let's talk about the evolution of this point, because not in every way, shape, or form is this going to activate negative expressions, not even close. There's going to be a lot of you, in fact, most of you listening to this, right? A lot of people are going to be triggered to evolve the mind and to activate their own passions and communicate what is your innovation, your leadership. What is your passion? What are you passionate about? What do you wish to share with people, network with people, communicate with people, right? So this is going to come from an intuitive mind for some of you. And you are going to be called to do the work, to put time, energy, and effort to communicating from the broader perspective. That Piscean mind is naturally very intuitively attuned, right? So this is a matter of the evolved individual here is going to feel a passion to communicate, is going to utilize that right brain, it's going to utilize that intuitive functioning, it's going to have the desire to put the time, energy, and effort into your work in order to be of service to help people heal. And specifically, too, there is indication of healing the mind. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. There's definite indication here that a lot of people are going to want to help people heal the mind. Very much so. Mercury opposing the Mercury ruled moon, and Mercury squaring the Mercury ruled action set and behavior with growth and evolutionary process. So it's very mercurial here. This is completely about the mind. Now, the other thing that I want to point out about the moon in Virgo is that the moon in Virgo can be, by the way, the moon is also at a degree number 7. So we have a 7-degree moon in Virgo ruled by the mind. 7 indicates spirituality, the great mysteries. So there's this desire here to be of service on behalf of the great mysteries. Again, there is going to be some extremity that does emerge, unfortunately. Okay? We're already starting to see it, but there's more that we're going to see probably. But the other thing that I want to point out about the Virgo moon is that this can be a very kind of self-critical moon and also critical of others moon. It's very detail oriented. The moon, the desire is to attend to practical matters, to attend to physical structures or systems. There's a desire to heal the system here, and the mind is imagining and visualizing the new picture, the ideal reality. So again, for some of you, this is going to instigate your work, your communications, your skills in a new way. For people that are more, let's say, imbalanced or not quite balanced in their natural state of being, they're not quite owning their own storylines. They're believing their thoughts as opposed to becoming the witness of their thoughts, right? Some people are going to break, but others of you are going to thrive with this extremity. Okay? Uh, that's what I want to point out, everybody. I think that's what I want to point out here. The sun, at the point of this conjunction, the sun will be exactly conjunct Venus at 6 degrees Aries. This is ruled by Mars, right? And these points here are going to be sextiling these points. So this is quite good because what this indicates, number one, for some people, their identity and persona are going to be very aligned with their value system, and they're going to feel like the warrior of their value system. They need to lead on behalf of their value system. They're here to be the healer for people or whoever, right? They're here to teach it, right? So we have these points trining that south node. So belief systems that are held dear, constructs of truth that are held as reality are feeding into the desire for the person to communicate their value system, to become the warrior. Again, a Mars ruled Sun and a Mars ruled Venus value system, ethic. Okay, these are sextiling. These are in positive harmonic correlation relationship here, right? So the Mars North node sextiling the conjunction, and then the trine up here to the South node and the part of fortune. So there is positive indication for a lot of people that are going to take this energy and flow with it. A new energy to arise within your physical structure, a new energy to arise within your character, your personality. Who are you, and what is the truth of what your skills are and what you wish to emanate out to the world? How are you a teacher and a healer? What is your ethic? Okay, so there's this kind of harmony here with the number 6, the desire to be true to your own value system. So, for some people, this is feeding old dogmatic belief systems and assertions that is squaring the mind, which is activating certain extreme action to emerge. And for others of you, for the majority of people, I would argue, you are really feeling the desire to be true to who you are, to love yourself at a new level, to take action on your passions, to communicate in order to help people, in order to be of service to people. And again, I'm going to say it again because it really is very prevalent. There is the mental healing that's activated here. There's a storyline that's talking about healing the mind. Certainly, that's my work. Ultimately, that's the baseline of my work. It's about healing the storylines, the narratives that live inside the psyche of individuals. Ultimately, about the use of mind as well. How does the mind interpret the deeper emotional signatures and stories that live within? For those of you interested and haven't ordered it yet, you might be interested in going into a deep dive natal analysis for yourself. There's 2 versions of a natal analysis that I offer, a foundational one and the deep dive. So, for those interested, you can see my links below. But yeah, there's definitively activation here for the need to heal the mind, the need to heal delusion aspects to the functioning and to get clean and clear with it and to activate a new behavior of mental function. See, again, I'm going to say it again. Mars is breaking the calsarpa process. The calsarpa was the last few months where we've had all of the planets netted between the nodal axis points. So Mars is breaking it. Venus was the first one to instigate it, which is about money issues and self-worth issues and lovability issues and ethos. What is it that we value? There's been this whole kind of recalibration for everybody as it relates to relationships and money, how to create the comforts and abundance that you seek, whether it's the simple life or the more abundant life, whatever that might be. But also your ethic. What is it that you value in this world, But the thing is, Venus has been this kind of karmic reinterpretation process, and Mars in Gemini is the point of the new story that is not part of the calsarpa. The calsarpa ends, and the new behavior of mind, activating the mind in a new way, right? That's what this is about. That's my interpretation of it, right? So take it for however you interpret it. Correct for yourself. But I can tell you archetypally, this is what it says. This is just the nature of it. There's a new reactivity of mind. In other words, hopefully, a better way to use the mind, an optimally evolved way. Life and life process is about optimal evolutionary process forward, creating win-win-win for your own life, but also how you engage with the collective. So this conjunction here is a big flippin' deal. Is it going to bring certain violent eruptions, anger, conflict, arguments, fights, in some cases violence? Yeah, it will. Is it related to the mental functioning and an imbalanced or not quite clear mental functioning? Yeah, you better believe it. Are there going to be drugs and alcohol involved in some cases of what we'll see in the news? Yeah, you bet. Is there going to be a delusion as it relates to what spirit is, what God is, and what people think they're here to do on behalf of God because they feel that they're a servant of God? They work in the hierarchy. They think in terms of hierarchy. You better believe it. Yes, okay? But it doesn't have to be that way. It's just the fact that a lot of people operate by default. They are not participating in, and they're not taking the reins of their own functioning in order to grow and evolve who they are and how they operate. And that's what it's all about, everybody. You know, there's mindfulness here, there's conscientiousness here, there's a need to take the steering wheel of your own life, to take the reins of your own unconscious processes. That's the free will choice that you have. The blueprint that you're born with is not free will choice. It is the story that you're living. But how you function in that story is your free will choice. It's a very big distinction here. So I'm going to leave it there. I did want to make this tonight in order to, I guess, forewarn you, and to really, I really do urge all of you to be hyper mindful of travel, cars, vehicles, uh, um, communications as well. You know, there can be stuff that's said to siblings, to neighbors, that you might regret later. Okay, so again, present moment orientation, mindfulness. That's the name of the game here. That's the name of the game. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful. Let me turn off my highlighter. I send you lots of love for the next few days, and I'll see you this coming weekend for your weekly astrology, which is coming up Saturday or Sunday. All right? Bye-bye.